Yesterday, the Attorney General of the United States was fired. And today, her portrait at the Department of Justice was found in a trash can. According to MS Now, Bondi's framed portrait was removed from its place of honor and tossed into a DOJ garbage bin within hours of her firing. When Pam Bondi first took office, she personally walked into a secure floor at the DOJ, pulled down the portraits of Biden, Harris, and Merrick Garland, and bragged about it on Fox News. 14 months later, career DOJ officials did the same thing to her, within hours. She wasn't fired over immigration. She wasn't fired over the economy. According to the Associated Press, bipartisan criticism over her handling of the Epstein files dogged her entire tenure as Attorney General. But to understand why this matters, you need to understand what's happened over the last 30 days. Because March 2026 might be the most consequential month in this case since Epstein died in that jail cell in 2019. And almost nobody is putting the full picture together. Let's start with what dropped. On March 5th, NPR published an investigation revealing that the Department of Justice had been quietly withholding Epstein files. Not random files. Files containing allegations that Donald Trump sexually abused a minor in the 1980s. Within 24 hours of that report, NPR confirmed that the DOJ released over 1,000 new pages, including what appears to be the complete 2006 FBI case file on Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. These weren't rumors from the internet. These were FBI interview notes, recorded witness statements, internal DOJ slide presentations that had been kept from the public. Now here's what's critical. These are allegations. They are not proven. Trump has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, and no charges have ever been filed against him in connection with Epstein. But the fact that the DOJ withheld them and then released them only after journalists caught the omission, that's what turned this from a legal story into a cover-up story. 2 weeks later, on March 18th, Attorney General Bondi and Deputy AG Todd Blanche walked into a closed-door briefing on Capitol Hill. They were there to calm down a bipartisan firestorm over how the DOJ had handled the Epstein file release. According to CNN, it lasted less than an hour before every Democratic lawmaker on the committee walked out. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee refused to ask questions. They said the briefing wasn't under oath, wasn't being recorded, and wasn't being transcribed. CBS News reported that Representative Robert Garcia called it a fake hearing and accused the White House of a cover-up. Chairman James Comer fired back, accusing Democrats of staging a political stunt. And during one exchange, according to CNN, Comer told a Democratic congresswoman she was wasting everyone's time, to audible gasps in the room. This wasn't theater. This was the moment the Epstein files stopped being a legal matter and became a full-blown political crisis. Because, as CNBC reported, 5 Republicans broke ranks and joined Democrats to subpoena the Attorney General of the United States, their own Attorney General, to testify under oath on April 14th. That almost never happens. While Congress was melting down, something else was happening in a federal courthouse in Manhattan. On March 27th, CNBC reported that Bank of America agreed to pay $72.5 million to settle a class action lawsuit brought by Epstein's victims. According to CBS News, the lawsuit claimed that Bank of America ignored years of suspicious financial activity tied to Epstein's trafficking operation, that it processed transactions it should have flagged, that it prioritized profit over the safety of women and girls. Bank of America denied wrongdoing, but they paid the money. And here's the detail that got buried. According to Bloomberg, billionaire Leon Black, who reportedly paid Epstein $170 million through a Bank of America account for so-called tax advice, was scheduled for an 8-hour deposition. The settlement allowed him to avoid it entirely. This is now the fourth major bank to settle Epstein-related claims. As NBC News reported, J.P. Morgan paid $290 million, Deutsche Bank paid $75 million, and Epstein's own estate settled for $35 million just weeks earlier. That's over $470 million paid out, and not a single banker has been criminally charged. Now here's where the story gets uncomfortable for the United States. While American institutions have been writing checks and calling it closure, the United Kingdom has been making arrests. According to Al Jazeera, in February, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the man formerly known as Prince Andrew, was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. The allegation is that he shared confidential government documents with Epstein while serving as a UK trade envoy. Days later, Al Jazeera reported that Peter Mandelson, who had been Britain's ambassador to the United States, was also arrested. Same charge: sharing government information with a convicted sex trafficker. Neither has been formally charged yet, but the contrast is staggering. As NPR reported this week, in the UK, two of the most prominent figures connected to Epstein have been arrested, investigated, stripped of titles, and removed from public life. In the United States, after 3.5 million pages of documents, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images, the Department of Justice says there is not enough evidence to prosecute a single additional person. And when Congress demanded answers, the Attorney General got fired. There's a reason this story resonates so deeply, and it's not just about famous names or political drama. At its core, the Epstein case is about a system that failed survivors at every level. Law enforcement that looked the other way, banks that processed the money, institutions that protected the powerful. The women who came forward in these cases didn't have teams of lawyers. They didn't have political connections. Many of them were teenagers when the abuse started. Some were trafficked internationally. Some were controlled financially, emotionally, and psychologically for years. And this is exactly why tools that put power back in survivors' hands matter so much. If you or someone you know is in a dangerous situation, whether it's domestic violence or trafficking, there are apps designed specifically to help you document what's happening safely and covertly, on your own terms, on your own device, without anyone else knowing. Because the Epstein case proved something we already knew. The system doesn't always protect you. Sometimes you have to protect yourself first. So what happens now? As the Associated Press reported yesterday, Pam Bondi is out. Deputy AG Todd Blanche is the acting Attorney General. The same Todd Blanche who told CNN that the DOJ should move on from the Epstein files. According to NBC News, Bondi is still subpoenaed to testify on April 14th. Whether she shows up under the new circumstances is an open question. CNBC reported that the House Oversight Committee has also called Bill Gates, Goldman Sachs top lawyer Catherine Rumler, Leon Black, and others to testify about their dealings with Epstein. Meanwhile, as NPR reported today, survivors like Annie Farmer and Jess Michaels are watching all of this unfold with the same message they've had for years. This is not about a single person. It's about a government and judicial system that has repeatedly failed Epstein's survivors. Millions of pages are still unreleased. Videos are missing. Audio is missing. Flight logs are incomplete. There is no verified client list. And the new acting AG has signaled he wants to close the book. The question isn't whether the Epstein story is over. The question is whether anyone in power has the will to finish it. If this video helped you understand what's actually happening with the Epstein files, share it with someone who needs to see the full picture. Subscribe if you want to stay updated. We're covering every major development as it happens. And if you or someone you know needs help, the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7 at 1-800-799-7233. You are not alone.